the Violence Against Women and Girls Sector Anti-Racism Charter. Number 1. Our vision. This charter sets out a vision of anti-racist approach translated into action and accountability in the End Violence Against Women and Girls sector in England and Wales. It follows a call to action to end racism within the VAWG sector in 2020. It applies to both organisations that operate exclusively within the VAWG sector, as well as those who work simultaneously in the VAWG and other sectors. We acknowledge at the outset that the context now for pressing for a radical rethink and renewed commitment in our sector is directly linked to the call for action by Black Lives Matter movements worldwide against state racism and state-sanctioned racial violence in the wake of the murder of George Floyd in 2020. The BLM movement has brought the pervasive and persistent nature of white supremacy back into sharp relief, and with it an important societal reckoning with the realities of racism. Systemic, institutional and structural racism shapes how Black and minoritised women experience violence and abuse, and their access to safety, support and justice. The legal and policy framework was not designed for Black and minority women and the services led by and for them, and as a result is often unjust and discriminatory. Societal structural inequality is also replicated within our sector, both in direct and indirect ways through our practices and policies. This in turn stops us from creating a world where all women and girls live free from violence and abuse. The VAWG sector can and should be seeking to eliminate racism through care, rigour and meaningful collaboration that results in a space of unity, where the leadership and contributions brought by specialist by and for Black and minoritised women's organisations are fully recognised and supported by white counterparts. A refreshed commitment to principles of equality and fairness that our sector should be attaining offers us a chance to stand together in strength and set standards for those we engage with externally, and to ensure our work truly challenges the multiple forms of oppression which survivors face. The Charter seeks to address key issues that have been raised repeatedly over time by Black and minoritised women in our sector. We recognise the significant labour that this has taken and the damaging impact that the failure of white-led organisations to act thus far has had. This charter directly draws on the detailed work carried out by specialists by and for Black and minoritised VAWG organisations and other anti-racist activists, and the recommendations that they have made for change. This charter sets out a vision for an anti-racist VAWG sector and all other organisations to unite behind and meaningfully collaborate to deliver. The Charter provides white-led organisations, specifically those that are not specialist by and for organisations for Black and minoritised women, with a framework to begin a process of reflection, learning and change to increase their ability to develop lasting anti-racist practice. All organisations will be different. Therefore, a starting point for this work is a commitment to look honestly at where they are now and a willingness to identify where their practice could be improved. It sets out how white-led organisations can work toward being active and accountable for the privilege and imbalance of powers that result in black and minoritised women's organisations being attributed unequal status. An anti-racist VAWG sector will not be achieved through this charter alone. It needs to be a living document owned by the sector, and the commitments within it will need to expand and develop. We hope it starts the process of the ongoing commitment, reflection and learning that is required for anti-racism, and provides an urgently needed mechanism for action and accountability within our sector.